Hi all, hope you all are doing good. So today we are going to learn about photosynthesis. What is photosynthesis? You would have heard about this word during your elementary school classes. So before trying to understand what photosynthesis is, let us take an example. Now, we as human beings, we are feeling hungry and we want food. What we do? We go to kitchen, cook some food using the gas or fuel or electricity, and after the food is prepared, we eat that food. So now we as human beings are able to do all these things. But what about these plants, algae and certain bacteria? They have a special ability. And what is that ability? They, by standing in their own place without moving anywhere, they can prepare their own food using the sunlight and carbon dioxide and water from the environment. It can prepare its own food. So, this process by which the plants, algae, and certain bacteria make their own food by converting sunlight into chemical energy, which is glucose, which is nothing but the food for the plants, algae, and certain bacteria, is called as photosynthesis. So, this photosynthesis happens in the leaf of the plants. So, you would have heard about this called chlorophyll, which is a pigment which gives green color to the leaves. So, in today's session, we are going to see this photosynthesis at a microscopic level. You would have learned at a macroscopic level in your elementary school or your other classes. But today we are going to see this photosynthesis process at a microscopic level, where actually this photosynthesis happens inside the leaf. The leaf is what we are able to see, but actually photosynthesis happens way deeper inside the leaf, which we cannot see with our naked eyes. Only if we can see using a microscope, we will be able to see that actual process which is happening at the microscopic level. So let us get into this photosynthesis process. Now, if you see this diagram, this is the diagram which you would have seen at your school level or small elementary classes. Now, if you see, this is the plant. This is what we are able to see with our naked eyes outside. The plant has roots, it has stem, it has leaves, it has flower. So leaf has chlorophyll pigment which gives it the green color and which acts as a solar panel to take the sunlight from the sun. And if you see here, what happens, we would have learned the green leaves is the place where the photosynthesis happens and it is producing glucose and sending out oxygen. So it uses carbon dioxide from the surroundings. Then leaf absorbs water from the roots. The water enters the stem, then it enters this petiole, and then it enters the leaves. And the sunlight directly falls on the surface of the leaf. And carbon dioxide, the leaf has small holes at the bottom with which it absorbs the carbon dioxide from the surroundings. So all these combined, the blue color ones, water from roots, carbon dioxide and sunlight combined together will produce glucose, which is the food which plants use for its growth, and it releases oxygen outside into the air. Okay, so this is the photosynthesis happening at the macroscopic level, which we can see from our naked eyes. Now, what we will do? Let us cut this leaf and we will try going deeper inside the leaf and see where actually this photosynthesis happens. Now, we have taken the leaf. So, if you see the leaf, it has these parts, petiole, which connects to the stem of the plant, midrib, which is the biggest vein inside the leaf, the apex, and these small branches are called veins, and further smaller branches from the veins are called venules. This surface of the leaf is called leaf blade or lamina, and again this leaf is getting the green color from chlorophyll, as we all know, and this corner, the border of the leaf, is called margin. So now we have understood the structure and parts of a leaf. Now what we will do, let us cut this leaf into half. Okay, now we have cut this leaf into half, the cross section. So this part we will zoom and see what is there inside this leaf. So cross section zoomed, we will get the below image. This is what we will be able to see. Leaf anatomy. If you see here, this is the surface of the leaf. Okay. The leaf surface is exposed directly to the sunlight, so it could dehydrate the leaf. So to protect it from dehydration, it has a waxy layer covering the surface. That waxy layer is called nothing but cuticle. Then we have these cells called upper epidermis, which protects the internal structure of the leaf. Then we have this set of rectangular cells, which is called palisade mesophyll cells. Then we have these loosely packed cells with lot of spaces in between. These are called as spongy mesophyll cells. Okay. Now this is the lower epidermis. Again, we have the cuticle here protecting the lower epidermis, lower part of the leaf. Then we have the stomata. Stomata is the opening through which it takes in carbon dioxide, gives out oxygen, or takes in oxygen, gives out carbon dioxide through this hole. This is protected by two guard cells which open when they want to breathe in the air and closes when it does not want to breathe any air. So this opening is called stomata. They are protected by guard cells. Next comes your xylem and phloem. So xylem is small tube-like structures which are present inside the leaf for transporting water and minerals, and phloem are tubes which are present for transporting sugars, that is glucose, which is manufactured by photosynthesis. And protecting these tubes are bundle sheet cells. So they are protected by tightly packed bundle sheet cells. Now, what is this part which is visible? This is nothing but the veins inside the leaves. Okay, this is the internal structure of the veins. So if I go up and show, so these veins are there, right? These midrib veins, venules. The internal structure of this is what? dis- is displayed here. This is the cross section of the veins present in the leaf. Okay, through that veins only we know the water gets supplied to the leaf, and also the glucose which leaves manufacture gets transported to the plant through this phloem. So they are called xylem and phloem, two parts present in that veins. Okay, so to see that better, what happens? The water, okay, plant is there, the water comes through the stem, enters the smaller stems, enters the petiole, and and then goes through the veins and spreads through the part of the leaf. So see, water comes from here, it goes, transports water to all parts of the leaves through these veins. See this one. The same veins are used for the transportation of manufactured glucose. So from all these veins, the glucose is carried back to this petiole and to the plant stem, and it goes to the roots. So till there you would have understood. Now if you have noticed, these cells, palisade, the spongy mesophyll cells and these guard cells displayed are somewhat green in color, green pigment, because they get that green pigment from chlorophyll, which is present inside the chloroplast. See the chloroplast, the green color small dots present, no, they are chloroplast. Chloroplast is one small organelle which is present inside these cells. So that cell is what contains chlorophyll. And within these organelle, inside this cell is where photosynthesis happens. Now if you see in these small green dots is where the photosynthesis happens. Now what we will do, let us zoom further into these chlorophyll containing cells. Okay. So when I zoom further at a cell level, so now we are taking a single cell. Okay. So let me zoom out. Okay. Now whatever you are seeing is the cell of the plant. Okay. Okay. So if you see, this is the plant cell. Now what it contains, nucleus which gives instructions what to do, Golgi apparatus which acts as the post office, you have the vacuole for storage of food, mitochondria, powerhouse of the cell which produces energy required. Cytoplasm is the liquid present inside the plant cell. It has cell membrane covering the cell, it has cell wall covering the cell. Now what we are interested in photosynthesis. So photosynthesis happens in this organelle called chloroplast. So this is called chloroplast. This is what contains chlorophyll. So what are these parts inside the cell? These are called organelles. Organelles are nothing but small tiny organ kind of structures which are present inside the cell for doing certain functions. Now, these organelle present here called chloroplast is the one which does the photosynthesis. Okay, this is the part which contains chlorophyll and gives that green color to the leaf. Now, let us zoom into this and try to understand the uh, photosynthesis process. Okay, now I'm going further down and trying to zoom into the chloroplast. So this is the organelle which we were seeing above. Okay. So hope you are able to see this. Yeah. Let me zoom further. Okay. Now if you see, this is the diagram. This is the chloroplast. Now I'm zooming into the chloroplast. So first we will try to see what are the different parts of the chloroplast, and then when it's done we will see how the photosynthesis actually happens. So now if you see these parts inside this chloroplast, these disc-like structures are called thylakoids, and the liquid inside this thylakoid is called thylakoid lumen, and the membrane surrounding this thylakoid is called thylakoid membrane, and this stack of thylakoids, see they are stacked, these all are together called granum, and the tube connecting the granums is called lamella, and the liquid filled inside this chloroplast is called stroma, which is an aqueous fluid. And the chlorophyll, which we were talking about, is present inside this thylakoid. It is present inside the thylakoid lumen. So, inside the membrane, we have the chlorophyll. So, this is where the photosynthesis process begins. Okay, this plays a very important role. Now we will see the photosynthesis process, how actually it happens, since we understood the different parts inside the chloroplast. So now what happens, the sunlight falls on the surface of the leaf, and the sunlight enters and falls on thylakoid membrane. So when it falls on this thylakoid membranes, what happens is the chlorophylls present inside this thylakoid have its electrons excited. So the electrons of the chlorophyll get excited, and it splits the water molecules. So molecules also enter this thylakoid. Both are present in the thylakoid lumen. So the chlorophyll's electrons are excited, and it splits the water molecule H2O into hydrogen and carbon dioxide. Sorry, hydrogen and oxygen. So what happens? So hydrogen is used inside and oxygen is sent out. So if you see, the oxygen is sent out. So that is what is coming out of the leaf, oxygen air, and hydrogen is used inside this thylakoid. So what happens now? After that reaction, the thylakoid produces two chemical compounds called ATP and NADPH. So ATP means adenosine triphosphate, and NADPH is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate, which is the reduced form of NADP. So these both are released, manufactured and sent. So the after these two are produced, the next process happens after this. So just think of these two as the batteries. Like sun is our charging point where we are charging batteries. So that two charge batteries are ATP and NADPH, temporarily charged batteries, which are used for the production of glucose. Okay, so these both are the chemical components which are released. They act like the energy batteries for the next chemical process to take place. Next comes these two enter the Calvin cycle. So what is Calvin cycle? So here what happens is the carbon dioxide is taken from the surroundings. We saw that, right? So that carbon dioxide is brought in and these two chemical components are brought in and these help in forming complex chains of carbon. So the complex chains of carbon uh, are formed and it forms something called glucose. So these two along with carbon dioxide they all work together and produce glucose. Okay, glucose is the final product which is called the food of plant. This is what is going to be used throughout the plant's structure. So after that, you can see NADP plus and ADP plus PI are two chemicals which are released as byproducts, which are not, these are formed while this process is being done, the creation process. These both are the byproducts which are not necessary. So it sends back to thylakoid and thylakoid again recycles these two and produces ATP and NADPH. Consider these two as the drained batteries. The battery is drained, and so now it enters thylakoid and it gets recharged again, and it is sent back again to this Calvin cycle. And again, carbon dioxide is used and glucose is produced, and this cycle continues. So, this is the entire process of photosynthesis and these are the chemical names again adenosine diphosphate and a free inorganic phosphate pi and NADP1 is the oxidized form of NADP. So this is the entire process how the food for the plant is produced, which is photosynthesis. Now if you see these parts till here, it requires sun because without sun chlorophyll electrons will not be excited and it will not be able to split water molecules and produce ATP and NADPH. So these things require sunlight. So that's why they are called light dependent reactions. So mainly they act like the power plant which is for generating power for the manufacture of food. And these parts, the Calvin cycle does not require light. It can happen during the day, night, anytime because it does not require sunlight. So these are called light independent reactions and they are called sugar factories because they are manufacturing glucose required for the plant. So this is about photosynthesis happening at the microscopic level. Now we will start going back how from the microscopic level it goes to the macroscopic level. Now we know the output here is oxygen, carbon dioxide input, glucose is the output. So we have two outputs, oxygen and glucose. And now we will see how it goes back to the plant. Now I'm going to the cell. So now from this chloroplast, oxygen and glucose are released into the cell. Okay, so from that cell, the cell releases further um, into the microscopic level. Okay, now we have seen the cell releasing it from the chloroplast, it released into the cell. Now from these cells, it gets released into the space here. So now two things are released. One is oxygen, another is glucose. So oxygen goes out from this stomata, the small hole present, it goes out. of this leaf via these guard cells, and the glucose which is produced enters the phloem. So phloem is a part of the vein which carries glucose or transports the glucose for supplying to the plant. So in this part, if you see, 80% of photosynthesis happens in this palisade cells, and another 20% happens in these spongy mesophile cells, and to some extent 1% happens in these guard cells because they also have that chloroplast in it. Now from here we are going to travel back to the leaf. So let us go back to the leaf. Now from these veins which we saw the phloem, the glucose enters this petiole. Okay, from all these places the glucose is collected and it enters petiole, and oxygen is sent from the holes present under the leaves to the stomata which we saw. Now we will go further up. Now from these petioles, phloem, it enters the stem of the plant, then it enters the root and supplies glucose to the entire plant. So this is how the photosynthesis happens, right from the macroscopic level to the microscopic level, and how it is sent back from the microscopic level to the macroscopic level. So hope you have understood this photosynthesis process. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you all.